Welcome to the fiscal year 2024 Michigan Department of Education Section 31A Annual Program and Fiscal Report webinar. This training has been designed to do a quick walkthrough of the report for experienced Section 31A reporters. Here is our agenda for this webinar. I will review the Section 31A intent and purpose of this Categorical State School Aid Act grant. Additionally, the presentation will share a quick review of the sections in the Annual Program and Fiscal Report known as the APFR. Lastly, I will share some Nexus resources to support leaders who have changed roles or may be new to using the Nexus platform. As I begin our presentation today, it is important to remember that the Section 31A at-risk grant is a supplemental funding stream to support at-risk eligible students to achieve proficiency in English language arts by the end of 3rd grade, proficiency in mathematics by the end of 8th grade, and career and college readiness by the end of high school. Career and college readiness proficiency is measured in 11th grade with English language arts, math, and science assessments. These state assessments test that students have the necessary skills for continuing with their education or joining the workforce. In addition to the academic achievement outcomes, Section 31A intent and purpose also focus on students attending school regularly to ensure that they engage in the educational opportunities. Remember, the Section 31A grant is a categorical state aid section. This means that all supports and services that are funded with Section 31A should align to the intent and purpose listed on the slide, positively impact at-risk eligible students in meeting these focuses, and provide instructional and direct non-instructional supports and services that meet the added needs of the identified student group. Please note that in order to complete the Section 31A APFR successfully, it takes a variety of district leaders, including representatives from the Educational Program Office, Business, and Nutrition Offices. This slide provides a list of helpful documents that will support accurate and timely completion. Some helpful documentation includes end-of-the-year expenditure reports, estimated summer programming costs and services, actual programming services and supports that were implemented during the grant cycle, and this must include grade levels impacted, the components of Section 31A funded cost, the at-risk eligible student counts that were served or benefited from each support category, and the subset student count of which students were eligible for free and reduced priced meals. Lastly, you may also want to have available your continuous improvement planning documents to ensure that the reporting is accurate. Here is a slide to remind district leaders that the State School Aid Act has requirements for the current allocation and the 1 year of carryover. For the purpose of this report, please remember that expenditures should be for the current school year and the at-risk summer programming for summer 2024. On this slide, you will see that for this report, any Section 31A funds not expended by the end of the district's summer programming, which is generally August 31st at the latest, will become carryover into the 2024-2025 school year. Due to this being a report and not an application, there is no formal amendment period. Fiscal data is pulled into the next year's APFR, and spending data reported to MDE is expected to be accurate. Districts are encouraged to reach out to the Section 31A consultant team if modifications are needed due to changes in the summer programming estimated costs. It is encouraged to reach out to the team in September following the summer school program. As a reminder, the APFR has 4 sections or forms to be completed, as shown on this slide. The first section is called the District Compiled Report, and this section has 3 parts. Section 2, Direct Instructional Supports, includes multiple instructional supports expenditure categories. Additionally, there's a new pre-kindergarten section and the required MTSS narrative questions. Section 3 is the direct non-instructional supports. This section also has 3 parts. And the last required section is Section 4, the School at Breakfast Program Supplement. In Nexus, there is a Section 31A APFR help guide that is available to assist you in successfully completing this reporting process. When clicking on the help guide form in Nexus, it will download as a PDF automatically. Section 1, the District Compiled Report. This section has 3 parts that are lettered A, B, and C. Part A is the Section 31A carryover and current year expenditures. This is the part of the report where districts can see their grant allocations and spending for 2 years at a glance. In Part A, 3 text boxes will need to be completed. These include one for carryover spent, current allocation spent, and the number of schools in the district that received Section 31A funding during this grant cycle. Part B is the Nexus populated totals and the unduplicated number of at-risk students being served. Reporters only need to fill in the text box of unduplicated count of students receiving Section 31A funded services during this grant year. The other lines will be populated after the remaining APFR forms are completed. Part C is the school-wide reform section. Many districts do not utilize the school-wide reform subsection of the law and can skip Part C. If the district or a specific building within the district did utilize this subsection, documentation must demonstrate that the building met the 40% at-risk eligible student threshold and that the strategy and expenditure that supported all students in the building aligns to the other legislative requirements. The other Section 31A school-wide reform legislative requirements include that the identified strategy was determined by a needs assessment and part of the improvement plans, is evidence-based, and includes parent and family engagement components. If the school-wide reform strategy was used during the current Section 31A grant cycle, the reporter needs to complete all 3 reporting elements of Part C, including checking the yes box, entering the school-wide reform costs, and checking at least one of the listed school-wide strategies. Section 2, Direct Instructional Supports. This section has been broken into 6 steps in the APFR Help Guide. The steps should be completed in order, and some steps may be skipped depending on what services and supports the district spent grant funds on. Remember, districts will only complete rows that align to a support or service categories that Section 31A expenditures were spent. Only Section 31A funds are to be included on this report. When a district reports spending in any row or category on the instructional supports table, all 4 columns A through D must be completed to accurately report and to avoid errors. Once a Section 31A support or service is reported in the table, grades, students served, and costs for that specific support should not be duplicated in any other portion of the report. Remember, the Section 31A is a categorical state aid section. This means that all supports and services that are funded with Section 31A should align to the intent and purpose described earlier, positively impact at-risk eligible students, and provide instructional and direct non-instructional supports and services that meet the added needs of the identified student group. This is important in all areas and needs to be especially a focus when entering expenditure costs on the instructional supports table. You and your team will want to make sure you are not using Section 31A funds to pay general education teachers that are a teacher of record, fund dual enrollment costs that the district is required to support with general funds, or other legislative rights and requirements that are part of the core instruction, such as the key components of English learner programs or special education programming. Steps 1 through 4 in Part A has only had one change from the previous reporting cycle. In Step 4, the extended school day or school year, a new reporting category called transportation has been added to the 2023-2024 report. This row is specific to the Section 31A funded transportation for before and after school funded programming, or extended school year Section 31A funded transportation, like for summer school, or transportation costs for intersession programming being offered during school breaks. Step 5 is the pre-kindergarten part of the instructional supports. Due to this provision being added in the past few grant cycles, we will go over it in more detail on the next slide. In Section 2, the final step, Step 6, is the My MTSS response questions. This is a required step for all districts. There are 5 questions in total. These questions include 2 narrative responses regarding the implementation of K-12 MTSS, 2 checkbox questions regarding districts' needs for statewide MTSS guidance and resources, and new this year is a question about implementing the EWIMS, or Early Warning Implementation and Monitoring System, process. We will also take a closer look at these questions in the next few slides. Added to the Section 31A legislation during the 2021-22 school year was the ability for districts to spend up to 10% of the district's allocation on supplemental pre-kindergarten expenditures for at-risk eligible pre-kindergarten students. On the APFR, you will find 7 categories of pre-kindergarten supports and services to report the Section 31A funded expenditures. If your district utilized this provision of the legislation, ensure accurate reporting under this section. If your district did not utilize Section 31A funding for supplemental pre-kindergarten support, you may skip Part B. The 7 Section 31A pre-kindergarten reporting categories include additional seats, transportation costs for eligible students, professional learning, which must still align to the allowable topics defined in the legislation, MTSS program coaches, supplemental English learner program services and materials, SEL supplementary supports, and lastly, supplementary materials. Next, let's talk about the MTSS response questions. The My MTSS response includes 2 question survey regarding the district's implementation of the multi-tiered system of supports, or MTSS. The survey is designed to gather narrative responses that should be provided from the district level perspective. Through these 2 questions, the MDE is asking for specific information regarding, first, the district's provider of MTSS professional learning and technical assistance, and second, the specific fidelity measures or tools utilized within the district to measure the effectiveness of program implementation. Again this year, the Section 31A Annual Program and Fiscal Report will continue to ask questions that the Section 31A team and other MDE partners will use to develop resources and to design upcoming professional learning. The first question asks, of the 5 MTSS components, which of the components districts would most benefit from further guidance and resource? Districts will also be asked to indicate for which grade levels professional learning would be most beneficial, either elementary, middle, or high school. Again, this will help our Section 31A team as we work to continually improve our support and resources to you. MTSS Narrative Response, Question 1. Question 1 states, during the current school year, list who provided the district with professional learning and/or technical assistance to support K-12 MTSS implementation. Question 1 is asking for specific information about who is providing the district with professional learning and technical assistance directly related to the multi-tiered system of supports. Who's helping to unpack MTSS, understand what implementation with fidelity looks like, and determine how to plan for ongoing improvement. Sources of support may include the district's ISD or RESA, a vendor, or the My MTSS TA Center, to name a few examples. If you respond with the name of an ISD or an individual, include the role of the individual and the type of training. Please note that answers such as not applicable are red flags, since the implementation of MTSS is required to be eligible for Section 31A funds. We understand that all districts are on a continuum in terms of implementation of MTSS. That being said, answers such as non-applicable could be interpreted as a district no longer being eligible to receive Section 31A funds. Also, remember that there's 2 questions required a response and may not be left blank. An answer must be provided in order to submit the APFR. If the district needs assistance, please contact the Section 31A team. Here are examples of what would represent appropriate responses for question 1. 2 appropriate examples shows a list of personnel who provided the professional learning or names of the ISD and is followed by a list of topics covered. Remember, keep the responses simple by providing a list. Next on this slide, you will see non-examples of responses. As shared previously, not at this time or NA are not acceptable. In addition, generic descriptions that do not provide specific information about the source of the professional learning or the subject matter aligned to ongoing improvements in implementation of the MTSS support are also not appropriate. MTSS Narrative Response Question 2. List the fidelity tools utilized by the district to measure implementation, indicating grade levels for each tool. The second question related to MTSS asks for specific information regarding the fidelity tools and measures being used within the district to measure the effectiveness of the program implementation of MTSS. What tool is the district using to examine and reflect on their MTSS? Fidelity assessments are used to keep track of which features are in place and to what extent. These may include a tiered fidelity inventory, a district-generated rubric, or the MTSS self-reflection tool, among others. Here are examples of what would represent appropriate responses for question 2. The first example is a list of fidelity measures that a district may be using. The second example demonstrates how a district may respond to indicate their plan moving forward if a fidelity measure has not yet been in place. As a reminder, keep it simple by providing a list of the information. Here are some non-examples. As previously mentioned, not at this time is not an acceptable response. Stating a needs assessment and a district planning does not provide enough information. Student achievement progress monitoring tools are not considered fidelity measures for MTSS. For additional assistance regarding the MyMTSS response questions as part of the APFR, and to gain general background regarding the district's assurance of implementing MTSS as a requirement of the Section 31A grant, please visit the MDE YouTube channel and view the Section 31A APFR MTSS Narrative Response Questions video. One additional MTSS radio button question was added to the 2023-2024 Section 31A APFR. This question has been designed to get a more accurate picture of how many districts are implementing EWIMS as their secondary MTSS model in the high school and/or middle school. As always, for this question, please provide one answer to move on to the next section of the report. For support on completing Section 3, direct non-instructional supports and other supports, please make sure you refer to the help guide. The 3 parts in Section 3 focus on direct non-instructional supports, other legislatively allowable supports, and professional learning. Again, if a district spent or plans to spend any Section 31A funds on one of these categories in these parts, all columns in a row need to be completed. In addition, all districts need to fill out the radio button in Part B to indicate if the district is or does not have 50% or more students identified as economically disadvantaged. So Part A is direct non-instructional supports, and this includes school health clinics, medical services, mental health services, counseling services, social worker, and activities to reduce chronic absenteeism. There are examples in the help guide to support you. In Part B, as shared earlier, all districts must first fill out the radio button, answering either yes or no that the district has 50% or more economically disadvantaged eligible students. Next, the program categories in the table of the district may report under the legislative allowable uses, including the new school parent liaison category, school security, anti-bullying and crisis intervention, and parent, family, and community engagement. The last part of Section 3 is Part C, Use of Funds Professional Learning. Remember, Section 31A legislation defines that professional learning has very specific allowable topics. The allowable topics include MTSS K-12 with fidelity and utilizing the data from that system to inform curriculum and instruction, implementing a coaching model, and implementing the Read by Grade 3 legislation with fidelity. During the 21-22 school year, the cap of 7.5% was removed from the legislation. Professional learning no longer has a cap, but does have to be about the solely related topics. On this slide to the far right, you will again see the important reminders that if a district has spent grant funds on any of the reportable categories in any of the parts, all text boxes within that row must be completed. For Part A and B, each support category again has 4 reporting columns, including grades served, at-risk eligible students served who were economically disadvantaged eligible counts, and the total Section 31A cost spent. Complete all columns in a row that the district has expenditures for. If the district did not spend any funds in a specific category, you can leave that row blank. In Part C for professional learning, there are 2 columns for each row, grades served or impacted, and then the cost. Of course, In the professional learning section, grades served refers to the teaching assignments of the staff being provided the learning. We have come to the last portion of the report, Section 4. There are two ways to complete Section 4. School Breakfast Program Supplement. First is for exempt districts. The second way that most districts will complete this form is if you serve breakfast and you will supplement the school breakfast program based on the Section 31A legislative requirement. For districts who are exempt, you would just check the box and this form will be finalized when you hit the Save button. Districts are only exempt from supplementing the school breakfast program if they do not serve a school breakfast program because they are under 20% economically disadvantaged threshold and have gone through the appropriate procedures to not serve a school breakfast program, including school board approval. For all other districts, they must report and spend some amount of Section 31A funds from 1 penny to $10 per student on school breakfast program supplement. If you have any questions about your district's particular status, you should contact the Office of Nutrition Services. If the district serves school breakfast, complete the school breakfast program section in the following way. The number of pupils eligible for free and reduced price meals will be pre-populated. This economically disadvantaged student count is the same one that was used in the current allocation formula. For traditional allocation formula districts, it is from the previous fall student count day. So for the 2023-2024 school year and allocation grant cycle, this would be fall 2022. To complete this form, the districts just need to enter the monetary amount per pupil, up to $10, that the district has allocated for the school breakfast program supplement, and then hit Save on the form. When hitting Save, the total amount will be automatically calculated based on the formula of eligible pupils multiplied by the pupil breakfast allocation entered. This will determine the district's Section 31A expenditure to supplement the school breakfast program. Please note, districts and buildings that are designated CEP, Community Eligibility Provision, and districts that are in alternate agreements for their food and nutrition grants must spend some amount of money on their school breakfast program supplement. These supplemental funds should be part of the district's procedures for consulting with the nutrition office leadership to enrich the school breakfast program. Thank you for logging on today and watching the Section 31A Annual Program and Fiscal Report for Experienced Reporters webinar. If you need additional assistance, please contact our Office of Educational Support's Section 31A team, who are listed on this slide. If you need assistance with Nexus, please reach out to our Financial Unit Nexus Analyst, Judy Thalen. If you have more program-specific questions about submitting and updating the report based on your Section 31A programming, please reach out to our Special Populations Unit. Thank you and have a great day.